Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. There shall none of his meat be left. Therefore shall no man look for his goods. In the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. Job chapter 20, verse 20 to 22. Shabbat Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash, and double honors to our venerable apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and blessings to the Lord's elect, the house of David. All right, so brother Aaron coming back at you with another lesson, and lo, will it be edifying and uplifting unto the elect. All right, I'm going to go straight to it. All right, as we just read in Job, the 20th chapter, highlighting verse 22, and bring that back, and then we're going to get right into this article. It says here, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. All right, and that's talking about those who currently have power and dominion over the earth, otherwise known as the wicked, otherwise known as Esau, Edom. And it starts with the house of Amalek, otherwise known as the Jewish people today. Okay, they have their tentacles in everything that relates to power upon the face of the earth. Hence, Job 9:24, the earth being given into the hands of the wicked. Okay, now we're at the point where we're starting to see the downfall of this wicked empire, this wicked system, this wicked age. And one of the highlights as part of the signs that we're to look for, all right, is uproars of the people, okay, as a result of what we're about to read right now. Okay, when we read in Job 20th chapter, all right, it says, every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. We're fast approaching those days. Okay, and that the word wicked there is talking about in the Hebrew is Aimal, which is what the laborers, all right, the so-called working class. Okay, and those are the ones who keep the economy going and they keep the world turning. All right, because that's the energy source / energy force. Okay, but right now what we're seeing is the people who have always kept the system up and running, the middle class, is being eroded because there's no more need for such people to be working. They have AI robots. All right, they have automation. Okay, so a lot of people are being laid off, because you're no longer needed. They've changed the whole entire system. This is all part of the fourth industrial revolution that Klaus Schwab, one of those so-called elites, or the ones who works for the elites, I should say, right? What he was talking about. Okay, the fourth industrial revolution. All right. So let's get this real quick. And again, this is all part of the fourth industrial revolution, right? It says here, 74% are living paycheck to paycheck, burnout, ready to quit jobs. And this was dated April 29th, 2025. So that was last month, a few days ago. Okay, it says the modern workplace is undergoing a profound transformation with generational differences increasingly shaping how employees perceive their careers, right? So you have these new age kids, these YNs, so to speak, who, number one, they have a very poor sense of judgment. All right. So a lot of companies are, it turns out that a lot of companies are hiring these people, whether they just come straight out of college and they don't really have a direction in life. So they end up, working in these retail stores or, fast food restaurants and so on and so forth. Right. A lot of companies are noticing that these people don't like to work. OK, I was in a position of I was in a managerial position for a couple of years and I witnessed it firsthand. All right. And I hated every bit of it because people don't like to take accountability. All right. For their actions. OK, it's a lot of excuses and, blame and, especially if you work in a kind of like a corporate world, that's like breeding grounds for mind alteration. Okay, behavioral alteration, because you do all these what they have you doing is so-called trainings. All right, sensitivity trainings, right? That's all part of what changing people's behavior. HR, human resources. I mean, it's just a whole lot of stuff that the youth today, all right, are suffering from because of certain actions that nowadays companies don't want to be liable for. right? So they come up with all these rules, not necessarily to make things better, but it's just to cover their ass, So you end up taking these trainings and, all these rules and regulations and all these different things, right? But they say it's to keep things safe, but it's not really keeping anyone or anything safe. It's just making sure it covers their ass from lawsuits. Okay, that's why a lot of these companies are with the HR. That's why they're there, is to make sure that the companies are not getting sued. All right, making sure that the slaves, the employees, are working and they're in line. Okay, those are the taskmasters, so to speak. All right, so you have a lot of people right here, going back to the article, it says, with generational differences increasingly shaping how employees perceive their careers, right? So you have old people, young people, and they all see the world differently. The young people, this is normal to them. The old people, there's something wrong. They just can't put their finger on it. You know what I mean? But they know something is wrong. Things are not like it used to be. Okay? Because this is all part of the end of this age. All right? It's never going to go back to so-called normal or how you used to live it or how you remember living it. It's just downhill from here. All right? As just like how you're seeing the generations that come after this generation and the ones that came before this, has always been morally, is just getting worse and worse and worse with every generation that comes. You know what I'm saying? That's a telltale sign, all right, that this place is finished. This place is out of here, right? You're not seeing an upward trajectory. It's more of downward spiral. That's what's going on with this company, corporation, America, right? So let's keep going. It says, new research highlights a growing divide. Division. Okay, highlight that. Younger professionals are significantly more inclined to leave their current jobs, citing burnout, inadequate compensation, and toxic work cultures as key drivers. See, so again, the younger ones are very sensitive, right? Politically correct. You know what I'm saying? And the older folks are like, yo, you gotta work, man. You gotta work hard. You got bills to pay. They come from more of a gritty, grind it out kind of, generation. And then these guys over here, the youth now, they're all lazy, they're soft, they're weak, they're effeminate. You got men painting their nails, you know what I'm saying? Trying to wear gender neutral clothing, whatever the hell that means, right? Dyeing your hair different weird colors and shit, It's like, oh, man. Anyway, it says a nationwide survey of 2,000 employed Americans conducted by Talker Research and commissioned by HR solutions provider Insolved found that a striking 73% of Gen Z workers and 70% of millennials are actively seeking to change jobs or pursue new career paths. Okay? This contrasts sharply with older cohorts. Just 51% of Gen X and 33% of baby boomers expressed similar intentions, right? Because they're also being influenced by today's day and age and how fast-paced everything is. Everyone is being, taught that, you have to just make money and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Just do anything to make money, and that's what the youth is into. Like, find an easy way to make money so I can spend it and look cool on Instagram. Just money. Right? It's just all style, no substance. All style, no substance. And it's infectious, because the all style, no substance kind of spirit, right? That folly spirit, all right? It becomes infectious because they use so-called influencers to push, all right, that kind of vibration upon everyone. So if you're stuck to your Black Mirror, your phone, okay, if you're stuck to that, right, eventually the things that you see in that Black Mirror, all right, will be reflected in your life. Okay, you're gonna start, because you're in the loop now. You know what I mean? It's almost like a small little world. The internet is its own world, and people could interact and shit like that. So if you're on TikTok, that video goes viral, everybody sees it. Everyone who's on TikTok, at least, right? Or anyway, people who can see it. All right, because not everyone technically, right? So anyone can see it, making the video go viral, right? But then you've seen it, so you partake in the ideology that this said video, is put out. Because if somebody brings it up, you could talk about it. So think of that, but on a higher level with anything else politically, right? Any agendas that might be set out there, that goes viral. You know what I'm saying? What is this agenda or narrative? What is this all about? What's the side effect to this? What's the main reason why this is even put out there? Because we know that Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all these different so-called social media platforms, all right, was created by the FBI and the CIA. Okay, it was created as a conduit for them to gather information on the citizens of the United States and everyone around the world. Okay, it's all about data collection. That's all it is. All right, and they couldn't physically come to you and start collecting your data, right? That would be unconstitutional as hell, but they had to find a way around the Constitution, right? So when you opt into things or you volunteer, right, whether it be because of coercion or whatever, and you just do it because everyone is doing it, influence and so on and so forth, right, you basically are giving away your immunity of privacy or immunity to privacy, right? In a sense that, now you've opted in, so the Constitution doesn't really matter because we didn't come and, seize your shit or whatever. You gave us that information willingly by posting it on social media for everyone to see. And we tricked you by making you think or feel that by giving up more information about yourself and what you do with your life, your personal stuff, right, you get more likes, more comments, more shares, more people, more views, right? So that's like a dopamine. People do it just for the gratification, the instant gratification. Okay, Instagram, instant gratification. All right. So going back to the article, right? So you have all these things going on. That's also part of the division that's happening, right? The growing divide, as they said, right? This contrasts sharply with older. We read that. It says, the findings reveal that workplace burnout is affecting more than half of the U.S. workforce, with younger generations experiencing the most severe impact. Okay, nearly 7 in 10 Gen Z employees, which is about 68%, report feeling burned out, followed by 61% of millennials. In comparison, 47% of Gen X and only 30% of baby boomers experience similar levels of exhaustion. Okay, monotony in daily tasks emerged as the leading cause of burnout, with 33% of respondents feeling stuck in repetitive, uninspiring routines. You know why? Because this is a debt-based system which forces you to be a slave. Okay? So you willingly have to be a slave in order to pay off those debts. All right? Look, man, these elites have so much money. They could bail everyone out with no problem and still have billions, trillions left back. Okay? I did the math a couple of years ago with my brother, right? When we did the math, from a millionaire to a billionaire, the difference is crazy, right? I think it was like something like about, if I was to give somebody $5,000 every day, in 6 months, they'll become a millionaire, right? But if I was to give them $5,000 every day to become a billionaire, it would take them about, 300 something years or 500 something years. All right. So there's a huge, huge difference. And you got somebody like Jeff Bezos could literally pay off all America's debt, at least pay enough where if he was to give, let's say, because he's worth over, $100 billion or something like that. All right. Let me just check. Let me double check that real quick. Right. Jeff Bezos net worth. Oh shit, look at that. Damn, this guy. $206.7 billion US, right? As of 2025. Okay. And Elon Musk is at 389.4 billion, right? Now, if you were to let's say let's just divide it amongst the American people, you have about roughly 400 million Americans, right? 400 million American people. So this guy is worth over 200 billion. So if he was to just give, If he was to just give the American people, let's say, oh, you know what, I'm just going to throw $1 billion out there, distributed amongst all American homes, bro, everybody going to get at least a couple $1 million. You know, if my math is correct, of course, right? But the point is, you have people in this country, in this world, who have so much money that they can liberate, all right, people from all this debt and stress and all this bullshit. But they purposely create a system and design it so you have to work. You have to work. You go to different countries and it's like, damn, like why is it that we don't have to work here? Like your work is your food. You know what I'm saying? You go to your garden, you go as a farmer, you go farm your land, blah, blah. That's your job. That's your work. And it provides food for yourself, for your family. You can sell it, make money, make a profit, you know? And so it's something that's worth doing. It's not monotonous, you know, meaning it's not mundane. It's not the same shit over and over. You work at the same time every day, Monday through Friday. You know, you deal with the same faces. You do the same thing. Same thing. It's either you're clocking in and out, you're working on the computer, you're saying hello to everyone, goodbye to people, you know, whatever job you got, it's repetitive. You know, it's repetitive. It never changes. It never stops. You never reach your goals like, oh, soon I'm going to get out of here. Soon I'm going to get this. It never happens. You're always, you know, like a rat race. You know, always in a rat race. You have to work. You have to go Monday through Friday. Everybody gets mad on Sunday nights because Monday you got to wake up and go to work. Go to your job that you hate. You know, but you got the bills. You got to pay the bills. So you're going to keep doing it. But you hate it. You're miserable. You know, that's a slave. And you can't get out of it. How do you get out of it? Oh, I'm just not going to work. What happens then? You see? So they've designed a system where you are forced to work. That's slavery. Okay, modern day slavery, adhesion contracts, look into that. Okay, all these licenses, contracts, things that you sign off, agreements, that's all part of you signing off your freedoms, your liberties, okay, your so-called privileges, right? And these devils, oh man, they love that. All right. Anyway, continuing, it says, let's see. Hold on, did I miss it? There you go. Right. Additionally, 23% of expressed frustration over increasing job demands without corresponding compensation. Right. That's true. Everywhere. You know, these companies come up with all these stupid rules. They always changing rules. Right. Some new shit you got to learn all the time that requires you to work more. Right. And be more uncomfortable. Right. Be more stressed. But sometimes the pay doesn't even go up. Sometimes it doesn't even stay the same. You know, sometimes it just goes down. Oh, you used to get paid $20 an hour. Now, things are changing. We're going to give you 19 now. But this is what you're going to be doing. This is what you're going to be doing. And you get these benefits and that benefit. And when you try to use those benefits, it's to kind of frown and look at you like, yo, you really using those benefits though? You know, oh, you taking time off. Oh, that's PTO. Oh, yeah, I accumulated PTO so I could use it. Yeah, but it seems like you're taking a lot of time off though. Nigga, I have the time to use. You see? So they make people very, very uncomfortable, man. Trust me, I've worked in those office and time. Hell, bro. Hell. All right? Never again. All right, so continuing, it says, and another 23% felt their contributions were undervalued or overlooked, right? So you're just working for recognition, but you don't get it. Because the things are happening so fast, and with the integration of technology in a lot of these businesses, it makes your work look minuscule. You know what I mean? Like you're putting in work, but you're not recognized because you're competing against computers and shit. And computers, they work. They work fast and they don't stop. You know? So yeah, you might be a good slave, but you're nothing but a slave still at the end of the day. You know? So what recognition are you looking for? Or employee of the month. Put you on a poster somewhere in the lunchroom somewhere, and everybody comes and say, "Oh, you're the employee of the month." It's like you don't get a raise for that. You know, you don't get a bonus for that. Very few companies do that. But majority, where a lot of people are working, man, is literally like a slave plantation for real. You know, indentured servants. That's what they call them. Anyway, it says, quote, "The degree of burnout among today's workforce is highly alarming," end quote, said Amy Mosher, Chief People Officer at Insolved. Quote, although pay equity may take time to achieve, organizations can implement immediate improvements such as introducing more flexible work options and establishing clearer expectations around work-life boundaries. Okay? Again, a lot of these companies that abuse their employees, once they see that there's things that are being done to stop them from doing that, they're just going to shift over to automation, bro. Hey, look, man, if they don't want to work and they're calling out all the time and they're putting us behind the 8 ball and we're short-staffed, look, let's just switch over to automation, AI. Let them do that. And then get rid of all these people. They're unreliable anyway. They cost us too much money. We don't even need an HR department, right? Think of all the other jobs and departments that will be lost once AI takes over. You know, you don't need a department that watches over the slaves anymore because you don't need that. You got AI doing it. Ain't nobody going to be having to have a department to watch what AI is doing. If anything, AI is the one watching you. You know? So it says here, these practical steps can significantly enhance employee morale and organizational performance. Toxic workplace environments remain a widespread concern. Yeah, because you have a lot of these workplaces with women in power. That's why. Okay? All that toxic bullshit is because you have women as managers and bosses and stupid shit like that. No, that's not your role. Okay? That's not your role. That's why you create all this workplace toxic culture. It's a culture there. It's sick. All right? Gossiping. All right? Drama, bullshit, annoying shit. You know? It's like, nah, bro. Okay? It says nearly 1/3 of respondents described their workplace culture as toxic, citing key red flags. 52% of employees reported working while ill, and 31% routinely skipped lunch breaks. Right? That's slavery, man. Right? You go to different countries. Somewhere, so there are certain countries in Europe I know they take siestas. Right? In the middle of the day, right? They say, yo, go take a nap. 2 hours. You're chilling. Come back at 3 and then, we go back to work. You know, they don't overwork their people. They got free health care. You know what I mean? It doesn't come out of their paycheck. It's just the government just takes care of them. You know, if you get into an accident or some health related incident and then you call for an ambulance to come pick your ass up, the bill alone is so crushing. Not to mention you being in the hospital and all the bullshit they come up with to tell you that why you owe so much money. $20,000, $30,000. Like, damn, what the fuck? Like, huh? Insurance is going to cover this, but they can't cover that part. And they'll do this. It's fraud, scams. This place got to go. Okay? And it's all being designed by who? Esau, Edom, man. They the ones behind all this shit. Okay? That's why they got to go. They have to go. They are the problem of the earth. They have to go. All right. And they will go. And that's biblical prophecy. They will go. Okay. Let's get that real quick. And everybody's going to rejoice once these devils up out of here, man. All right. You done too much. Okay. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50 and verse 23. It says, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations, right? And upon Babylon's desolation, that marks the end of Esau Edom's rulership. Okay, because Babylon, America, Babylon the Great, is the second leg of the Roman Empire. Meaning Esau's second leg of his rulership, all right, from Rome, all right, or the first leg being the Roman Empire all the way till now. Okay, this marks the end of their kingdom. And Babylon is going to be destroyed completely. All right, thus saith the Lord. A great destruction. All right. And the hammer of the earth, Esau Edom, all right, the mighty one with his military, his power, his influence. Okay. Predominantly the Jays, because they control everything. All right, the Lord's going to cut them asunder, man. Okay. And we can't wait for that. We can't wait for that, man. All the lies are going to stop. All the deception, all the bullshit is going to stop, man. Okay? So continuing back in the article, it says, the leading threats to a healthy work culture included high levels of stress among colleagues, 47%, rigid or overly structured work environments, 40%, persistent negativity, 32%, and pervasive burnout, 31%. Okay? That's Babylon for you, man. Hell, man. Straight up hell. In the kingdom. And you know who goes through this a lot? Jake. Okay, now everybody going through it, but Jake be suffering because Jake works a lot of these jobs where you have this type of shit. You have female bosses and you're not happy, and that's mostly Jake that be doing shit like that. You know? So it makes sense why it's so negative out there. You know, it's all part of the curses. It's all part of having to work, you know, being the bottom of everything. All right, but this is all about to be over with. All right, all about to be over with. It says the effects of these conditions are far-reaching. Over 1/3, 36% of burned out employees admit to doing only the bare minimum required, a clear sign of disengagement and dwindling productivity. And like I said before, these companies, everything is numbers with them. All right, it's about cutting costs and making more profit. That's all they care about. That's all they care about. Money. And that's across the spectrum, everywhere, right? No matter what direction you look into, everyone is out to make money. Okay? And it's all at the expense of the people. So when they create all this technology, AI is going to do this and AI is going to do that. If their whole mindset is to make money, what do you think they create AI for? Okay? It's crazy. Data harvesting, data mining, all that shit. Yep. Keep going. It says, the effects of these conditions are I think we read that. Continuing. Key sources of stress include excessive workloads, which is 46%, pressure to meet aggressive performance targets, 34%, and expectations to remain connected beyond regular working hours, 32%. Okay, especially if you're on a salary-based job. That shit is annoying. Okay? They going, you getting paid a salary. It means you work 24/7, you know, because you're getting paid 24/7, you know. If we need you, you got to be available. It says, meanwhile, workforce reductions have added to employee anxiety. 67% reported layoffs at their company in the past year, and 58% feared for their own job security. Right? You look at companies like Meta. All right, they could just lay off 100,000 people. Boom, you wake up one day, nice email. Yeah, your services will no longer be needed here. Thank you, and have a good one. Whoa, wait, what? Now what? Right, because you used to work at Meta. You're driving the nicest cars. You pay $1,000 a month for a car note, and then maybe $400 for insurance, $1,400 a month for just a car alone. Right, because you're a big shot. You work at Meta. Yeah, right? And then your apartment, you live in a damn $7,000, $8,000 a month apartment down in New York City, you know, because you're a big shot. You work at Meta, you know, you loaning out, well, you getting loans and taking bad credit, you know, because you want to be posting yourself on social media, traveling the world, making it seem like you some hot shit because you work at Meta. And one Monday, boom, they just send you that nice little email. Yeah, you no longer here. Yeah, you out of here. Now what? All those expenses, $1,400 for a car. There were $10,000 for a apartment. You know, all this extra weirdo shit that people be doing. You know, these damn Babylonians, bro. I can't stand them, man. Can't stand them. Okay? But guess what? When the reality sets in, all right? Hey, that's why, hey, man, you know, one thing to always remember in this truth is be okay not having much. All right? Because when it's all said and done, those of us who don't have anything, we got nothing to lose. All right? Klaus Schwab's shit about you will own nothing and you be happy. Nigga, we don't own shit over here. Because let's get this real quick. We don't own anything over here, all right? All right, it's the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 14. It says, for here we have no continuing city, but we seek one to come, right? So synonymous with Micah 2:10, All right. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. So we know that this is a journey. We're on a journey to our city where we're going to have everything. All right. The kingdom of heaven. Okay. So, on this side, we understand that we're here as slaves. We came into this world with nothing. We shall go with nothing. Right. So we're here as slaves, as servants, and as a servant, you shouldn't be looking to own shit. Just serve your time and be out. That's what we're doing. We're serving our time and we could be out. Plus, hey, that's enough. Plus, you don't want to, have too much around you, because what happens is if you lose it, it becomes harder, right? Your walk is going to be a little bit more burdensome. Not only times are tough and you have to maintain those things that are difficult to maintain, but if you were to lose it, your life is kind of like, it messes your whole shit up. For some people, it might be hard to adjust. Some might not even be able to adjust. They're going to end up giving in. And that's when Klaus Schwab and them going to be like, well, here you go. See hip time. Bring them hands and foreheads. Right? But the point is, try to, live a minimalistic life, slightly simple, right? Keep it simple, and when all hell breaks loose, you don't have much to lose. You could get up and be out and you ain't got no worries. Oh, damn, my house, my this, my that, nah. My Lambo, I can't take that with him, it's going to hurt. So if you got a nice little, I'm not going to say a Prius, but you got a nice little car, you're using, hey, hold on to it. Unless the thing is about to break down, but hey, if you got something that works, hold on to it. Because you see all the signs, things are about to get real rough. Really, really rough, man. For us who can see it before it happens, hey, we have a better chance, right? Because we can prepare, right? Or at least be better prepared than Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. All right, so finishing off in the article, and then we're going to close it out. It says here, this lack of meaningful growth opportunities is reflected in employee loyalty. Only 51% of workers felt strongly committed to their current employer. Financial strain adds yet another layer of stress. A staggering 74% of respondents reported living paycheck to paycheck. And that's almost everyone, right? Almost everyone, man. That's just the system and the circumstances dictating actions. Once again, everyone is under the umbrella of prophecy. Okay? It's prophesied these times will come. And we're living in those times. Whether you believe it or not, you're still going to suffer it. So it doesn't really matter what you think. Okay? It says here, financial strain adds yet another layer of stress. A staggering 74% of respondents reported living paycheck to paycheck. With so many employees operating under chronic pressure, it's imperative that businesses invest in solutions that empower their workforce, not replace them, Mosher said, or added. Right? No, they're going to replace them because people don't want to work. Okay, and if they work, they do a shitty job. Right? You notice the quality of work nowadays has gone down, even with food. Right? You go places that used to make good food, you go there now, it's like, damn, what happened? Like, what's going on, man? You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't take pride in their work no more. That jump shot done messed up a lot of people, man. It's like there's no passion in anything they do. Look at sports. It's like, who even watches that shit anymore? But it's like, man, it's not the same. Nothing is the same. Everything has changed. And it's changed for the worse. Another sign that America is going down. All right. So it says here, understanding the unique stressors impacting different roles and teams requires active two-way communication. Listening is the first step to creating environments where both individuals and organizations can thrive. Guess what? They don't give a damn what you have to say. Just go out there and work. Clock in. Make sure you're not late. Be in uniform and do your job. When you're done, you clock out and you go home. That's it. All right. And every 2 weeks or every week, however long your pay schedule is set up, boom, that's when you get a little chump change. And then they're going to F you with the taxes. They take a whole lot out of your paycheck and they give you a little something here. There you go. Now go pay your rent, go pay your bills and do all that. And then when you're done, you have about $50 left in your account. Okay. Use that to manage to buy your groceries, which really will cost you about $170 just to buy 5 to 10 items. Right? But you have 50. So now you have to just manage it. and keep waking up so you can go back to work, so you can keep getting that $800, $1,000 check, right? Just so you can keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. That's America. Okay? And the whole world is waking up to it. Right? It says, as more than 70% of young professionals actively explore new opportunities, employers who fail to address issues around compensation, flexibility, and culture risk losing their most valuable asset, talent. Talent. Where they at? It says, while structural pay changes may require time, companies must begin acting now. Well, guess what? They're able to structure how much money is supposed to come in, right? Every year. You know, these are our annual goals. They can structure that quickly. But when it comes to structuring some pay for their employees, give them raises and stuff like that, that takes time. That takes time. Fuck out of here. Where it says, companies must begin acting now, addressing warning signs before they escalate into widespread attrition. Okay, well, guess what? Let's look up the word attrition real quick. Attrition. No. Damn, I can't spell. What the hell? Attrition. Oh, attrition. There you go. Bug it up. Right, attrition. It says what? A breaking, abrasion, scrapping, all right, or scraping, all right, the rubbing of one thing against another, all right, a rubbing against, right, that's friction, okay, when you have a rubbing against, that's friction, right, it says to wear, to rub away, to destroy, to waste, right, it says here, sorrow for sin merely out of fear of punishment or sense of shame, an imperfect condition, less than contrition or repentance. It says wearing down of military strength. Let's see if there's any more. Nope, that's it. All right, so it says what? The rubbing of one thing against another, literally a rubbing against. Okay, attrition is to rub against, right? So in other words, a friction, to cause friction. Okay, when friction is caused, what are the people going to do? They're going to revolt. They're going to rebel. They're going to push back. Okay, they're going to push back, and that's what I believe. That's what these corporations are banding together to protect against. Okay, they're setting the stage, man. They're setting the stage, and they have Trump exactly where they want him. He's the right guy to push agendas. All right, to benefit the elites and oppress the rest of the world. Okay, all going into the fulfillment of Isaiah 19. All right, that the Lord is going to give the Egyptians into the hand of a cruel Lord. Okay, the cruel Lord, that cruel, all right, is synonymous with draconian. Okay, so you're going to see Trump show his horns very soon. It didn't happen in the first term like people expected it, and this time they embraced him, and this is when he shows his horns. Esau's clever. Esau's real clever. But it's the Most High who puts him up to this, raising him up so he can destroy him. Anyway, I'm going to leave it off there. Lord willing, you were edified and informed. In closing, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash, the water Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Until next time, Shalom.